Hi, I'm Amanda Feifer. I am the author behind Ferment Your Vegetables and the blogger behind Phickle, P-H-I-C-K-L-E. I write about food fermentation and beverage fermentation of all kinds, and I teach workshops on that. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about one of my favorite drinks, which is a vegetable drink called Kvass. Typically, Kvass, if it's not made with bread, as it is in a lot of Eastern Europe, it's actually made with beets. So beet Kvass is something that you might see if you shop at a Russian grocer, for instance. But today we're going to make carrot Kvass, and this, all you do really is ferment these vegetables. So you're making a pickle, but instead of eating the pickled vegetable, you're drinking the brine. What you want to do first is chop your vegetables. These pieces are fine sized. You don't want to get too much smaller than this with a sweet vegetable like carrots or beets, but you also don't want the pieces to be full. You want a little bit of breaking up, because what that does is helps the microbes that are naturally present on the skin of everything that grows in the earth to be able to get at the sugars that are present in the vegetable. And then they convert that into lactic acid, which both makes this sour and makes it safe to consume. So that's what I'm doing. For Kvass, if these guys don't all escape, my rule of thumb is to go roughly 1/3 full in whatever vessel I'm using. And then for the sake of safety, we add a little bit of salt. Salt does a few things. It adds a ton of flavor. It adds it reduces the risk of bad bacteria taking hold. What we're doing in fermentation and all kinds of vegetable fermentation is cultivating good bacteria. And the good bacteria do a really good job of taking out the bad bacteria. We don't need to help them that much, but salt is one way to help them. In this particular recipe, I use some bay leaves, some cinnamon sticks, a little bit of cumin seed, black pepper, mustard seed. And at home, I would let that salt sit on there for a little bit until I see some of the liquid start to come out of the carrots, but that's not necessary. That's my own personal pleasure in seeing the carrots sweat. And then after that, we add a little bit of filtered water to fill. And that's right about the right height for a jar that you're going to ferment in. You might want a little bit more liquid in there. And then you're going to put your lid on. You don't want to tighten it all the way, because what's going to start happening is those microbes are going to eat the sugars. They're going to turn it into lactic acid, but they're also going to turn it into CO2. So you're going to see things start to bubble inside this jar, and if this lid is totally sealed, you're going to end up with a little bit of a problem. The weakest point is going to give, so if you have a really good jar lid, the weakest point would be the jar. You don't want your jar exploding, so leave the lid on, tight enough that nothing can get in, but loose enough that CO2 can get out. And then you're going to let it sit in a place out of direct sunlight for roughly 2 weeks. And at the end of that time, taste that liquid. It should taste delicious, a little bit salty, but not too salty, and nicely sour. It's a great, refreshing tonic for the summer for your teetotaling friends. And highly recommend making your own Kvass.